chart. So the quickest and easiest way to see that, it's like I'm in my class right now and I don't see my kids. You'll notice that there's this, it tells you that there's students that need to be seated. And so I've already done my seating chart. Well, my seating charts were automatically done for me. But what I can do is if I just go in here to edit my seating chart for each of your classes, what you're going to do is you're going to see, you can make your selections of what do you want to see. Do you want to have your students always alphabetically sorted? Do you want to show the student ID on there? Do you want to show their attendance through the day? There's lots of things that you can set up with what you want to show on your seating chart. And then as you come down here, the top of the classroom, where do you want the front of your classroom to be? So is it the bottom of the left, the right? Lots of options to choose. Change out your default roster. What you want to do is make sure you have enough for your kids. So if you've got a class of 40 and you set yours to 6 by 6, you'd only get 36 students. So you want to make sure that your roster is enough for your kids. And then what you would simply do is hit this. You can either randomize, put them in a random order, or you can fill them alphabetically, right? And so if I do this fill alphabetically, all of the students from my class are then dropped into my class alphabetically with the information, the choices that I've changed. And I can always go back and change that to do whatever I would like to do. So then I can save this. And there's my class rosters are there again. So you'll know your classes are still there, because if you go to your reports and you do a student list, you'd see all of your students that are in that class list. So you just need to rebuild your seating charts. Another way that you can do this is by creating a template for your students for seating charts. So if I go into my seating charts and I want to add a new seating chart, right now they're just listed up there by alphabetical. But if you're going to ever have a sub or you just really want to take it to the next level, you can create seating charts with furniture in your classroom. So I went ahead and I've already created a template, and I'll show you how to create a template that you can use for other classes, which streamlines your process. So I called this the STEM Lab template. So this is where my classroom is. So if I click on this and you guys see this template, I've got my furniture in here and I hit this view template, and that's going to use this template for me. So it's going to allow me to go in, and this is what my class looks like with my desks as close as that I can get to it. And then if I go in here to edit this template for this class, I would assign my students to the template. And so if I wanted to, I could go in and change this template, and then I would go back and edit my students. Now, what we're going to do is show you how to make a template. So if you're wanting to make a template that you can use for all of your classes, you would go to templates and you would go down to a new template. Okay, so when you get to a new template, you're going to want to rename it. So you can call it your name, Burke's template, Classroom 102, or Midday Advisory Plus, whatever you want this template to be, because maybe you have different configurations or different things. So I am going to rename this, and we'll call this test template, just so you guys know what it is, or test room. We'll call it a test room. So then if I go in and I hit my furniture, I can choose what I want. I can have a desk and a chair, which if you have desks and chairs as students, you have them lined up and you just simply will drag them in. And so one of the things, maybe you have 4 desks that are sitting in a row. So what I can do is I can actually use this rotate icon and rotate the desks. So perhaps my students are seated in rows. And so they go face to face, right? And I've got 2 desks like this that are face to face. So I can set up my furniture so that my desks are face to face and I'm set. Now, what you want to do is if you get your configuration, if you have your desks in groups of 3 or groups of 4, let's just say my desks are in groups of 3. So I'm going to drag out and I am going to set this up in this. I've got a whole bunch of desks that are set up in 3 configurations. What I could do now is I set up my first configuration, make it nice and neat. Then I'm going to hold down my left mouse button, drag a box around so I select everything, Control C to copy it, and then I'm going to do Control V, and it makes me another desk of 3, Control V, and I can keep setting up my desks of 3. So you can make your first row and then copy over your next 4 rows or however you want to do it. Now, if you don't have teacher desks or student desks, you can add other room features in if you want to put a bookcase in, or you can get as much detail as you would like to. Mine, I have some STEM tables that aren't the traditional desks. So what I did with mine is I put a round table in, and then around that round table, I decided to just put the student chairs. Now, you definitely want to have student chairs because this is where you can assign the pictures of the students. And so I rotated them and I made my student desk. So let's say this, I've got a desk of 2 of them. So I rotate that around and I can put my desk right where I want them. And then when I'm ready to go, I can close this out and I can again drag a box around all of my desks. I got 2 tops, Control C, copy it, Control V to paste it, and I can put my other boxes here. So I've got the different boxes. You get done, you hit save for your template. Here's my new template that I created for test room. And then with whatever class you're in, I go into my seating charts, and then to assign the seating chart, by default, you get an alphabetical, and you can have multiple seating charts. So if you have a seating chart set up just for your testing, you have a seating chart set up for maybe do special things on Wednesdays or another day, you can make it your Wednesday chart. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to setting and I'm going to add a free form. So this is where I'm going to add my own template. I'm going to choose the configuration I want. So I'm going to go with my STEM Lab configuration here. And now that I've got my STEM Lab configuration, I'm going to use this template. And so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to find these students. And all you do is you drag a student and you would drop them in to the seats that they're assigned to. And so you would go through and just assign your students, and you can move them and change them. I can randomize if I want to fill it random. I can fill random, and all of my kids would be filled into random seats. I can fill them into my seats alphabetical if I want to, or I can handpick and drag them to where I want. But it's important that you have the seats, because the seats are what you drop your students into, so that you've got that. I can change the view of if I want to get closer for my seating chart, so I have to scroll a little further, I can do that, but I can get all of my information in for my seating charts. Okay. This is how you would get back your rosters that are not lost. You just got to recreate your seating charts.